Hey everyone, welcome back to another Diablo movie review, and today I'm going to be talking about The Odyssey. Now, The Odyssey, written and directed by Christopher Nolan, is probably one of my top three most anticipated films of the year. I think it's a lot of people's, probably up there with like Dune and like Spider-Man or Doomsday. But yeah, certainly a film I'm very excited about it. I think everyone nowadays, if it's Christopher Nolan, you're going to it, and I think Christopher Nolan is one of the few directors right now where when he has a film coming out, it really generates excitement and people want to go check it out and see it theaters just because he's given us such good ones over the last period, several years and classics, Interstellar, Oppenheimer, of course, a couple years ago, which I loved. But even like Prestige, Inception, plenty of films that have just been frankly amazing. And so he's just given this track record of really pushing that cutting edge in, as far as storytelling. And obviously he does a lot of practical, effects, not a lot of VFX. He likes to do things, on location and as practically as possible, which I think we all appreciate. But yeah, The Odyssey, by Christopher Nolan, starring Matt Damon, Anne Hathaway, Tom Holland, Robert Pattinson. Literally everyone in this film is a recognizable name. Every character is played by an A-list actor, or, a very well-known one, which I think goes to show like even these small roles. Like I didn't really realize Mia Goth was in this film, and she's a great actress, and she's playing a small role, and I think that goes to show like how excited actors and actresses in general are how to say they are to like work on a Christopher Nolan film, no matter like what capacity that is. And I think everyone really knocks it out of the park as far as like who they're playing, in their roles. Like I said, Mia Goth has a very limited role, but even if you go to Matt Damon as the titular Odysseus, he's fantastic. Will absolutely get Oscar nominations whether he wins or not. TBD. We still have a lot of year left, a lot of films to come out. So, but he'll be, I think, right now, obviously the front runner, and he'll be a strong candidate to win the Oscar in this film. Will probably be nominated for a slew of different Oscars for cinematography, best picture, things like that. And Anne Hathaway's Penelope was really good, showing the confliction of like of Odysseus' wife and being in the position she is, where she's kind of trapped by the customs and also missing her husband who's been gone for 20 years. Um, and then Robert Pattinson as Antinius. Apologize for missaying it, but he played that role spectacularly. He you know, Robert Pattinson has a really good way. Like he's a great actor, but he has a really good like I think almost like physical presence. Some people just have a look, and he just his demeanor, and then also his look of like being kind of an asshole. It's just perfect. So he did a fantastic job being like that, antagonist at home, especially to Tom Holland's Telemachus. Telemachus. I'm so bad with names. I apologize sincerely. But Tom Holland also, I think, did really well. I think a lot of people have been saying like maybe he's like the weakest link in the film. I personally don't agree with that. I think he did a great job. I will say a little gripe I have, and it's a minor gripe. It's not really anything. Is just that the American accents. I felt like maybe they should have just stuck with their British accents. Maybe Matt Damon could have done a British accent as well. I know this is Greek mythology, and like, if anything, they should be speaking Greek. It doesn't really matter if they have a British accent, but I just think it kind of brings more of a old timey like world building feel to it. Maybe it's being a little um, influenced by films I've seen before, even something like Troy um, from years ago, where they all had British. I think that plays a part in like what my perception of it was, but regardless, small little thing, they all did fantastic jobs in their role. Also, I know online before the film came out, there was a lot of false narratives being pushed, a lot of like I don't know, grading and like just real cesspool like BS that was going on as far as like casting, and people were like, oh, this person's playing Achilles, and like Christopher Nolan's like ruining Greek history. And first off, this is mythology. not Greek history. Okay, there's no cyclopses or no gods. There are no like Storian cannibal eating giants. That's not real. Okay, let's take a breath. And also maybe don't get so sucked in with rumors about who's playing Achilles, who, spoiler alert, is not even in the film. So people freaking out about things that before watching this film that were not true, typical. Um, but yeah, everyone did a fantastic job. And again, this is an epic movie. In the same vein, I would say of like a Lord of the Rings, where I think one of the things that why Lord of the Rings holds up so well, even now it's been like 20 years, is that it was filmed on location in New Zealand, and you can really feel that when you're looking at it. Like the actors are interacting with their environment, right? And I appreciate Christopher Nolan for doing that because when they're sailing on the Aegean, you feel that when they're on these islands, they're on location. When they're getting hit with wind, with waves, with sand, like you feel it, and I think that adds so much. And also, it's just quite simply like a prettier movie rather than having like a bunch of green screen in the background. So visually, this is a very like gorgeous film, right? The lighting, the scenery, just everything is like a perfect blend. And I think this film, years from now will hold up very well. It's a good film, so it would have held up regardless. But I think something like that will add to that fact. Um, I unfortunately did not get to see this in a 70 millimeter IMAX. I got to see it at IMAX, but not 70 millimeter, because there's only like what 40 of them in the country, and there is one or two here in Florida, but one like that's kind of far from me, and also I don't know if I could even get tickets to that because it's just crazy. So, but if you have the opportunity to go watch it in 70 millimeter IMAX because it's definitely worth it, even just on my giant IMAX screen. I think it makes a huge difference seeing it in that format. Um, but yeah, I think like some other background I would say is that I'm a big Greek mythology person. Not Harry Potter. Oh my gosh, Percy Jackson kid growing up, like a lot of people are. So you kind of get really deep in the Greek mythology. So there are some like deviations or omissions from the story of Odysseus, which I think work within the context of the film and the story that it's telling. I know some people might be a little nitpicky or have issues for them cutting out or minimizing certain aspects of the story, but I think it just goes to to like it's just done to for the sake of the story and of the message that Chris Nolan is trying to tell. Even like the whole character arc of Odysseus is very different than I would say the original story, which is fine. I think the messaging and the story it's telling is amazing and fabulous, but some people might have an issue with that if they're very like purist to the story. But that was not an issue for me, and I don't think it'd be an issue for like the general public who maybe don't even know like the original Homer story or never read it. I think it was mandatory for a lot of people in high school. Not sure if everyone, um, but I think it still was a very faithful adaptation to the original 3,000-year-old story. But yeah, I definitely feel like I'm gonna rewatch this movie at some point if I have the opportunity. Catch up on some other stuff. But this is an absolute masterpiece, an absolute epic. Christopher Nolan strikes again. I don't think he's left with any doubt that he just makes banger after banger, and he's probably the greatest director of our current day. Um, there's a couple out there, but I think Christopher Nolan's really taken the reins on that. And just goes to show that film is still alive and well. Audiences still want to go to the theaters and see, creative new stories. Not just like known IP, which I still enjoy. I still enjoy like our Marvel and Star Wars movies and even DC. But like, I understand there's like some fatigue there. But I think as long as you go out there and you make interesting stories and you make good films, like audiences are gonna go out and watch it. And the box office has already shown that people are going out to see this and want to see these stories. So I'm hoping things like Chris Reynolds' The Odyssey help push even more original non IP stories. which we've got in recent years, like Sinners as well. But again, hoping this keeps that momentum going. But yeah, the Odyssey, definitely highly recommend go watch it. For me, it's a 5 out of 5. Um, yeah, take your family, go with it. It is rated R, so maybe not for younger kids, but I think it's a good date night family movie. Go by yourself. This is a film I think almost for everyone, and that everyone can enjoy. So yeah, Odyssey, check it out. Let me know what you think.